Hey y'all, thanks for tuning back into Chickanic. I hope everybody's having a great week. It is the end of January. There is still snow on the ground, even in places like Florida, which is bizarre, but it is almost time for spring. It is going to be here before you know it, and I want you to be ahead of the game. So today we're going over the top 10 things you need to do right now to get you ready for spring. But before we get into today's video, if you're a fan of saving time, money, and frustration while fixing your own small engine equipment while watching in-depth tutorials, you've come to the right place because that's what I do. I upload a couple times a week, and if that sounds interesting, hit that like button, smash that subscribe, don't forget to hit the notification bell, and please leave a comment. I love to read through the comments, and I will reply to all the early commenters. Starting off with number one, the most important one that everybody forgets to do. Right now, you need to go start your equipment. See if it's actually going to run. If it doesn't, it might be something simple that you can fix yourself, find a repair video to help you out with. But if you end up not being able to fix it, you're going to want to take it to the repair shop in February. Because I'm telling you right now, every year without fail, customers would not think about trying to start their equipment. They'd wait until the first beautiful week of March, and we'd go from being able to repair your equipment the day you brought it in and give it back to you tomorrow, to being sometimes 2 to 3 weeks out in 1 week. Now, this timing is very important if you have a tiller. It's going to be time to till those gardens soon. And although your string shimmer, your mower, your walk-behind mower, you might have used them at the end of the season, you probably didn't use your tiller for the last 12 months. And if it's been sitting with gas in it, chances are 70% of the time, it's not going to start. Like always, there's tons of videos out there to help you if you want to try to tackle it yourself. If you left fuel in it, that's the first place to start. Get rid of that old fuel and put in some fresh. See if she fires off. Number 2, check your gas can. Chances are, it might have water in it.
Now, I made this video a while back so I could show how fast fresh fuel would turn bad just from collecting condensation out of the air. Now, it does this because gasoline is hygroscopic, which means it has a tendency to attract and retain water molecules from its surroundings. As you watch, you could see the condensation gather on the inside of the cup and fall down into the gasoline. This video is about an hour long, condensed into 51 seconds, but by about 45 minutes, the entire cup is full of water. You can see how cloudy the gasoline turns. Now, the best way to minimize water absorption into your gasoline is to just make sure that it is in an airtight container. That way you can limit its exposure to the humid air.
%70 of all the customers that we would have come into the spring had water in their gas tank. And none of them knew how it got in there. The culprit was always their fuel tank at home, because their machine probably doesn't have any water in it right now. But the first time they go to pour their fuel in, if they've only got, say, a quarter or a half full tank, as soon as they go to pull, with the water being heavier than the gasoline, that's the first thing to come out. So they're going to fill their tank up, dirty their carburetor that first fill up. Now, ideally, you want to start with fresh gas every season, but the majority of you have some sitting around from last year. Now, just because it's got water in it, does that mean you've got to dump the whole thing? Not necessarily. You can just get rid of the water. That's why I keep these fluid extractors at my Amazon store, and I will put one in the description box below. Love them. It's so easy to get the things, especially for something like this. You can get to the bottom. Make sure you're all the way to the bottom because the water is heavier than the gasoline. Give it a little suck. You got all your water out, and you're good to go. I also keep these pipettes at my Amazon store. That way, if you've got something small and you're 2 strokes and you want to get down to the bottom of your tank, give it a little suck, see if there's any water in there. These work great. One way to avoid this issue in the future, though, is to use a good fuel stabilizer, one that does absorb and eat the water. Now, I use Ethanol Shield in all of my equipment and everything that I work on, just in case I have a customer that doesn't come and pick their stuff up. Sometimes for 6 months, I don't want to repair it again. But I've made an entire video on how awesome this stuff is. I'll leave a link in the description box below. Number 3, if you have a 4-stroke, say a walk-behind mower, a rider, a zero-turn, a chipper shredder, something of the sorts, and it does start, you still need to do a little service check. Make sure the oil's good, check your air filter, check your blades. And along with your light surfacing, always check your belts on your riders and zero turns. Make sure everything's moving freely. A lot of times if you let it sit over the wintertime, they will lock into the pulleys. You'll go to start your engine up and the next thing you know, bang, you've broke a belt. First mow of the season, you thought everything was okay, and now you gotta repair it. Number 4, when it comes to your string trimmers, the majority of the time you used it all summer. It's probably gonna start this spring. But what you don't think about is the part that you beat on the ground constantly while you're running it. First thing you're going to want to check is your bump knob, no matter what kind of head it is, whether it's a steel, an Echo, a Shindawa, a Husqvarna. They all bump in some way to release the string. So you're going to want to make sure that you still have good girth on your trimmer head bump knob. You have no idea how many times customers would come in and this entire bump knob was flush with their cap. Now, if you catch it before it gets to that point, you can just change the bump knob and the spool out and don't have to worry about buying another $13, $14 cap. But if you let it get down too low, you start wearing your cap out, you got to replace both. Same way on the speed feed heads. You're all good until you start wearing into this bottom base here. So check your caps, your bump knobs, guys. Make sure you still have a lot of material to work with to beat on the ground this spring. Number 5, when it comes to your trimmer line, I don't care if you've had the same spool sitting around the house for years or if you go buy it brand new off the shelf, you need to soak it. I've gone over this multiple times in videos letting you know that big box stores get huge incentives to buy in bulk, so sometimes their trimmer line's been sitting in a box in the back for years. But I always recommend buying in bulk because trimmer line will last forever. You just got to rejuvenate it. Throw it in a bucket of water overnight and you're good to go. Number 6, if you have a walk-behind mower and you go to try to start it up and it will not start, before you take it to the shop, try this simple trick. So this is my super secret trick on how to get your lawnmower started that's been sitting all winter. Now, many times the reason that your lawnmower isn't starting is because it's not getting any fuel. Because when it sits for a period of time, the needle tip might swell a little bit, or the seat might swell a little bit, and the needle's not releasing to actually let any gas flow through in the first place. So what I do is I pick up the whole rear end of the mower straight up into the air, maybe jiggle it just a little bit and set it back down. What that does is it makes the float go off kilter just enough to let the needle come up and hopefully jar it loose if it is stuck and let some fuel go through into the cylinder and get you started. Now, I made a video about this years ago because it is something I do on every single push mower that would come into the shop. And I know a bunch of you are going to say, you're crazy, that doesn't work. Well, all you have to do is read through the comments of my video and find out it really does work. One of the best comments I love to read is when somebody responds saying, I tried exactly what you said in your trick and it worked. Thank you so much. That's awesome. That's what I'm here for. Number 7, if you are in the market for used equipment, now is the time you need to get it. If you want to go around to a repair shop, see what they have sitting outside, every single year without fail, we'd fix multiple units over the wintertime when we were slow, stick them out front every day, and nobody would even look at them. But the first warm week of March, we'd sell everything we had and still had tons of customers asking for used equipment. So you want to start looking right now. Don't miss out on them deals. All right, number 8. Lubricate. Lubricate everything. I cannot scream it enough. Whether it is your wheels, your spindles, your pulleys. A lot of people forget about on their walk-behind mowers, they have cables that run down that get stuck every single winter. If you throw some 3-in-1 oil down in there, work it out really easy, they will come unstuck. Or your trimmer, if you have a gear head with a grease port on it, you definitely want to grease that up before the spring. I cannot stress enough to lubricate. Now's the time. And with that, Number 9. I'm a poet and didn't know it. Number 9, and this is sort of a super sneaky one that you do probably not know about. If you need anything, say you're a commercial landscaper and you need to buy in bulk, like you have a bunch of units that are all the same trimmers or the same mowers or something like that, or you just want to stock up for the season. If you go to your local repair shop, right now is the time that they're making their spring orders. So if you go in and you say you want 20 or 30 of the same air filter or primer bulbs or fuel line, if you're working on stuff, they will put it on their order and they will give you a discount most of the time because they're trying to meet these quotas. They get a percentage off for every bit more of amount that they spend. So they definitely want to throw your stuff on their order now before it goes off sale. This also includes engines. If you are a commercial landscaper or a homeowner, you got a zero turn or a rider that needs an engine, but the mower's perfectly fine, go to your local repair shop right now and talk about getting an engine because now's the time when they can throw it on their spring stock up. They're going to get an extra percentage off for the extra $1,000 or $2,000 your engine costs. And with it being on sale during the spring stock up, they're going to hopefully give you a discount too. Bonus. It never failed. Every year I'd do my stock up order. I didn't want to sit on a bunch of engines because you never know. There's so many different ones out there. You never know what you're going to need. I'd always order them as needed. But as soon as my stock up order came in, March would hit and it never failed. I'd always have a customer come in needing an engine. They'd have to pay full price instead of the sometimes hundreds of dollars they would have got off if they would have helped me out with my spring order. And now for number 10, and this is probably the most important thing I have to tell you. If you end up having to take one of your units to the repair shop to be repaired, do this super simple trick. Take a dozen donuts, not 12 glazed. Make sure they are assorted because not everybody likes the same thing. And I promise you, that is the top trick to save you some time, money, and frustration. Thanks again for tuning into Chickanic. Hopefully this video saves you some time, money, and frustration. If you haven't found me at Facebook, find me at facebook.com/Chickanic. Find me on Instagram at TheRealChickanic or find me at Chickanic.com where you can get your own t-shirts, hoodies, and long sleeve shirts. And if you ain't bored of me yet, check this video out right here.